Hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm Jennifer Hefner, and I will be your host. And I'd like to take you on a journey with me to explore all things spiritual. And this is my first video ever. So please excuse the beginners kind of stuff. But you got to start somewhere. So here I am. And my goals having this channel is really to take you on this journey with me. As I said, my background is mostly as an astrologer, and I also do tarot, both the mystical and then just the everyday thing, which I think can be very mystical because it's a good way for us to connect with our inner selves, our higher self, and to see what messages are coming through, what we need to be thinking about, working on, opportunities that we may miss if we aren't in tune with our spiritual selves. So that's why it's important. There's also Ho'oponopono and yoga. So many different ways of connecting with our inner selves. So I want to just explore these different ways with you, and that's the plan. So when I was looking at what I was going to name my channel, I took a look, to see if all things spiritual was taken, and it was. But I found this, came across this, right there, this video of Krishnamurti, one of Krishnamurti's talks. Now, he's not alive anymore, but he was a great man, and he had a lot of lectures, and he wrote a lot of books. He had a lot of wisdom, and he was very, very high being. And he said that spirituality, and when he says spirituality, he doesn't really like that word, but he said that spirituality is a way that we can become free of pain and suffering, that it's all about freedom. Now, what is pain and suffering? Pain and suffering is what they call samsara or karma, but what it really is we get, throughout our lives, events happen to us, and we hold on to them, and we tell a story about them. And then things in the future could trigger us into feeling weird or uncomfortable because something happened way back when, It happens to everyone, you just kind of get a stomach ache, or you feel weird about something, or something happens, you get scared, and there's a lot of fear because you're going back somewhere. And a lot of times we make things like mountains out of molehills, and it becomes worse and worse and worse as time goes on. So, and this is also could be generational, what we learn, what's passed down for generations. It can be in our DNA from trauma that our ancestors went through. It could be from a past life. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it comes, but we all have it, and it's all something we need to work through so we can release it and be free and happy and thrive and be who we came here to be and accomplish what we came here to accomplish, because we all have a purpose and we're all meant to be here, every single one of us. So when I think about the God self, and I believe that we all have the potential to be as great as Jesus now, or Buddha, or anyone else who was a great being, an enlightened being. And it's just that they were able to move past these misery and suffering and become one with God, the universe, whatever you'd like to call, the creator, which is inside of us. We are the sons of God. And Jesus tried to show us and tell us exactly how to do it. And somehow everything got messed up. And Alan Watts has a video, it's very informative. Alan Watts used to be a minister, and he's very knowledgeable about the gospel. And he says that, it was put together by men that were in the Catholic Church. And they chose what scriptures to put in and what scriptures not to. And they decide how it would be translated and how they would put that message through to the people. And the message became, we're sinners, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that we would never be anything close to him because we, Adam and Eve and the terrible woman and all. I mean, it was just, so everybody had this terrible self-esteem issues, which was all so they could control the population. Sad, and we're still dealing with that suffering of the trauma of religions, and it's not just Christianity, it's all religions, So we want to be free of that, because we are able to move past this suffering and be free and be enlightened. I mean, and you never know when it's going to happen. So there's so many tools available to us to be able to get there, or at least to overcome most of the suffering, or to see it when it's happening and say, hey, there it is. And I can see this and I can let it go. And that's really important. So some of these tools include astrology. And this is something I've been doing since I was about 12. And I think it's so fascinating how the movement of the sun and the planets around the sun and the moon that circles the earth all affect us. And you say, well, how could that be? Well, we're all part of it. But not just that. Just think about the moon and how it affects, depending on whether it's a full moon or a new moon, how it affects the tides, how it affects the sap in plants. And we're human beings we're made out 80% water. It affects us. And it affects every living being on this planet. So knowing what's happening is very, very helpful in the universe. And what's in our solar system is very, very helpful to us. And so we can see when these openings of energy come open so that we can work on ourselves in different ways. And then there's a tarot, which is ancient wisdom for thousands of years. And it's always been hidden, because, just like you get burned or something. But it's been intact, and there's a lot of places where you can actually study it for almost free. If you ever were curious about that, I can help you with some of that too. But it also is very helpful to see, hey, I'm having a problem. How can I overcome this problem? And it's kind of a way that your guides or your inner self can come through and show you ways that you can, overcome your problems. Because we're never going to run out of problems on this planet. That's for sure. It's just all how we deal with it, right? So that's my strengths are astrology and tarot, but there's also Ho'oponopono, which I've worked a lot with, which really overcomes trauma, and artistic, creativity, things how that can be inspired, and, just meditation. So I want to share so much with you, and I thank you so much for being here and listening. And please press the like button if you got anything out of this, or if you want to see anything else I have to offer in my future videos, and press subscribe so more people can see, this channel and become part of our community. So thanks again for being here, and have a very blessed day. Namaste.